All right, hey everybody. Jed Talbot here from OBP Trailworks. We're going to take a look at the machines we have that we're using to build this trail here in Camden, Maine. It's called Round the Mountain Trail. Before we talk about the machines, I'll give a little background about the trail so you know why we're using the machines that we are using to construct this trail. We will have, by the end of this week, about 5.5 miles constructed of 6 to 8 foot wide gravel trail. It's a multi-use trail for hikers and bikers, some Nordic skiing in the winter and fat biking as well. Uh, and this trail is going to eventually circumnavigate Ragged Mountain, which will start and end sort of at the Camden Snow Bowl, which is a ski area and links to about 25 miles of mountain biking trails. Ragged Mountain's a pretty rugged peak. It's hard to see from here, but it's a bald summit with some pretty serious ledges. So actually, combined with the coastal storms, we get a tremendous amount of water on this trail, which is why we have to use the type of equipment we're using and why we have to bring in as much aggregate and bridging as we have. So we'll get to the machines that are involved with constructing this trail. The one we have in the lead, we've roughed our excavation all the way in to a point where we've turned around and are now working our way back out. So the bigger machine, bigger excavator, did the rough excavation, and now we're working our way back out. And we've got cute little Tippy here, which is our 4,000-pound Yanmar mini excavator. That's doing a little bit more of the detail work. It's tracking off trail, doing some of the off trail drainage, cleaning up the berms, and it's kind of leading the charge as we work our way out of this mud pit that will soon be a sustainable gravel surface trail. One of the really nice things about this Yanmar is we call it tippy affectionately. It is a little bit tippy, but generally only when we retract the tracks. So it has a variable width. Right now the tracks are at 49 inches, but if you want to fire it up, Nate will show you how you can lift the machine and then the tracks will squeeze into about 39 inches. Okay, so now we're going to meet our crawler carriers, also called track dumps. These are all about 5 feet wide. We have 3 of them. They all serve slightly different functions. And they've been doing the lion's share of the work here, hauling in aggregate to this trail. We will have pulled in, by the end of this week, these guys will probably have hauled close to 12 million pounds of gravel in on this trail alone, gravel rock. That's excluding bridges. So this one we affectionately known as CC Orange or CC Stable. It's the oldest one out of the group, and its tracks are a little longer, and its bed is a little bit longer, so it carries a little bit more. It's a little more stable, but it's absolutely no frills. The operator station doesn't pivot. The dump bed doesn't pivot. It's kind of an old dinosaur, but it is actually kind of a favorite of the crew because it is so stable relative to the newer models. All right, so now we have CC Yellow, also known as CC Squirrely. This is the newest machine of the bunch. It's got a rotating operator station, so you never have to turn it around. You can face one direction or the other direction. It's a little bit smaller than the next one we're going to see, but they're all about 5 feet wide, give or take a couple inches. They all weigh roughly 5,500 pounds, give or take a few pounds. It can carry between 5,500 and 6,000 pounds, or about 2 yards capacity on each machine. I like this box style, but you can get this exact same machine in the tub style that we'll see on our next crawler carrier. Okay, so this is our third track dump. It's Candycom S25A. A lot of trail builders have this particular machine. It's pretty bulletproof. This is the tub style body, so not only the operator station pivots, but the body of the machine pivots as well, so you can dump 180 degrees and 90 degrees to each side, which Katie will show right now. All right, so now we've got to the part of the trail where we're actually dropping some top coat, some surfacing aggregate. After the crawler carriers drop, we've got the bigger Kubota that is coming through and smoothing, followed by smaller machines and hand workers. One of the things that sets this Kubota apart from other types of equipment, it's about a 10,000 pound machine. It's a 5-ton mini excavator, but it's got the 6-way blade. So the blade will actually tilt to the left and to the right, which is fairly common. But it can also cut grades up to, I think it's about 10%, but you can repeatedly cut ditches and outslopes, which is really, really nice. Particularly, this does a great job working our way up through the aggregate. It also really helps the machine be more stable when you're in rocky areas. I'm sure some people that are excavator operators be to that point where that blade only touches on one corner and you're rocking back and forth. Well, now with this machine, you can tip it and be a lot more stable during the excavation process as well. This is also a little over 5 feet wide. So now we have our little mini skid steers that are helping doing some of the back dragging of the top coat before we do our final compaction. We have here a Cormidi C1500, and we also over here have a Ditch Witch SK750. We also have an SK755 on site. I'm not going to talk too much about the Ditch Witches because I think most people are familiar with them. This machine is a little bit unique. It's an Italian-made machine. What sets it apart from other machines are a few different things. First of all, it's modular. So this body will actually come off. You can put jacks in and lift this off, and then you can basically make this a mini skid steer or a concrete mixer. There's other things you can add on the top of this. Right now we have it set up with a pivoting skip dump. So that's also self-loading. So what's nice about this setup right here is we've got a blade in the front, a bucket that can back drag, it can load itself, and this also pivots and dumps. And Josh will show you how that works. When we get to the compaction process, we've got a double drum roller, a Wacker-Neuson RD12, which is a double drum vibratory roller. You can either roll with just the weight of it. You can also make it vibrate. You can also add some ballast to increase the weight of it a little bit. It works really, really well. And then for compacting smaller areas and sometimes the edging, even sometimes a little bit on the organic as well, we have a simple plate compactor. I think it's a 1550, also made by Wacker-Neuson. So between these two piece of compacting equipment, you end up with a surface that's pretty good after, as long as there's been some moisture added to the aggregate. We roll it, usually anywhere between 3 and 5 times, and you have a pretty stable surface after that. That brings us to our loaders, our skid steer, which we have usually in the yard. It's loading the track dumps full of aggregate. This is an ASV Positrack RT50. This is a new addition to our fleet. It just replaced an older RD60 that I've had for about 17 years. I love these ASVs because the undercarriage is a smoother ride than you'll find on any other compact track loader or CTL machine. And this is about 60 inches wide. It loads the track dumps really well. It takes care of the yard, the stock yard. It back drags, it can do road maintenance, and we have a whole slew of attachments that go on the front of it, including rotating grapples, 4-in-1 buckets, augers, etc. It's a really nice machine. All right, so the final piece of equipment we're going to talk about is our John Deere Gator 825i. We don't use this for trail construction very much, but it's really handy to have for maintenance, for bringing tools in, etc. It's about 61 inches wide, so in that same 5 foot range to fit across our bridges and access our whole 6 foot wide trail. It also has, we installed a hydraulic dump kit, so it will dump 1,500 pounds. So if you have to bring small amounts of material a little ways deeper or farther along the trail, it can get there pretty quickly. It's not something we use every day, and it's certainly not something we use for the majority of the construction, but it's a really handy tool nonetheless. We also have a Japanese mini truck that has a 6 foot bed that ours doesn't dump. Those are also really nice. They're a little bit narrower and can go on even narrower trails than what this machine can. Overall, it's a pretty handy machine. It'll go up to about 45 miles per hour if you were so inclined, but we generally keep it in low gear. It's got 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, and a differential lock as well as a winch on the front if after all that you still get stuck.